Welcome guys, what screams limited food in tough times more than a Woolton Pie? Developed during World War II, this pie was made with rationing and food shortages in mind. The original recipe called for basic ingredients everyone had throughout the house, specifically with no meat. Because of this, it was not very well received and quickly forgotten once conditions normalized. We're going to take a look at it today during this Corona apocalypse as it seems pretty fitting. So let's get started guys. Okay, to start off you're going to use about 1 pound of potatoes. You're just going to want to skin them and dice them up. Make sure that you use an extremely dull knife. That is essential for this process. It will make you appreciate the food a lot more when you're done. Up next is 1 or 2 onions. I stuck with not even 1 because I don't really like onions, but do whatever you want to do. It's your food, it's your pie. Up next is 1 pound of cauliflower, so gently given to me by my assistant. You're just going to want to crumble up the florets and just chop them up real good. Doesn't really matter. It's a pie. Next up, apparently we have a carrot. About 1 pound of carrots. Use as much as you want again. Doesn't matter. It's a pie. Coming up, we have my personal favorite, green beans. Again, you probably guessed it, 1 pound of these as well. Alright, and don't forget guys, this is a Woolton Pie. It was intended to be used with whatever you had laying around the house. So whatever you want, throw it in. If you don't have some of these, don't use them. Next, we're going to be adding it to our big old skillet. We're just going to be boiling these down a little bit, so just have enough room for all your vegetables plus a little bit of liquid. Maybe something a little bigger than what I used. You're just going to want to set this on the stove here. I actually did forget, this is a Corona Apocalypse episode, so what episode will be complete without Corona? So you're going to want to add some Corona to this. I'm just starting out with 1, and we'll see what it does. It depends how much vegetables you actually use. So let's take a look. Yeah, I think we're going to need a little bit more than this. Alright, now it's looking a little bit more like Corona time. So let's get these added and we'll get her on the stove. Just want to make sure everything's covered. Let's throw it on the stove here. You are going to want to set it on medium-high heat. Your time's going to vary because the vegetables are so different. Just make sure that you consistently stir it because you don't want some vegetables getting mushy on the bottom and then other ones be completely crisp. So just keep an eye on it. Next, we're going to work on the so-called crust that the Woolton Pie consists of. You're going to start with 1 large potato. You're going to want to dice it up, cook it. I just did mine in the microwave real quick in water, 9 minutes. You're going to want to mash this up best you can. Just make mashed potatoes with your fork. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it is going to be in crust, so you want a fairly smooth consistency. Next up, we're going to be adding 2 tablespoons of baking powder. After that, we're going to want about 8 ounces of actual regular flour, 3 ounces of shortening, and you're just going to want to mix all of this up the best you can. You're probably going to find that you're just going to have to dig in with your hands. It's just too much. It's too dry to use your fork with. So get all of that in a good consistency. Pour it out on the table. You're going to be kneading this thing pretty hard. It is a weird crust. You're just going to want to do the best you can and get everything well combined. It might sit up a little bit. It might just be kind of a powdery mess. Depends on what you use. So now it's Corona time again. This is going to 100% be up to your judgment and what you think you need, but start with a little. If you add too much, you can't go back. So little bits at a time and work it from there. Then you're just going to knead it just like you're making any sort of dough. Knead it a lot. The more you knead it, the better it'll be, and you can always stop for Corona breaks. Now we're going to start making this thing look like a crust. So you're going to want to add some flour to your work surface and to your dough as well as your rolling pin just to make sure things aren't sticky. You're going to want to add the salt that you forgot to add earlier and then roll it out some more and get your desired crust size. Remember guys, there's no eggs in this thing, there's no milk, it's filled with potatoes. It's not gonna spread easily, but don't get discouraged and just keep pounding it out and it'll eventually get to the size that you're looking for. But once we have all that done, your vegetables should be about ready. So get your casserole dish, pie dish, whatever you'd like out. This isn't a traditional pie. You don't put the crust on the bottom, you put the crust on the top. So we're going to start out with the vegetables. and you're just going to want to spread them out evenly as can. It's a pie. It's all pretty universal. Now once you've got it in the container, you're just going to want to add some more salt, add some more pepper. This probably should have been done earlier when it was in a big pan. It could be mixed better, but I am human too and I make mistakes. So next up, you're going to add your crust. Finally, you're just going to lay it on top. It doesn't seem like a pie to us, but in Britain where this originated, that's their type of pie. You're going to want to crimp in all the edges really quick. You just don't want anything overhanging, and the thicker pieces will taste pretty nice when you're done. I'm crimping them down with a fork. You don't have to if you just want a more wavy, flakier crust. I like crimping though, personally. Add some vent holes in the middle, that way the steam has somewhere to escape and it doesn't just blow up. Then you're going to take 1 stick of butter, you're going to melt that in the microwave, and you're just going to pour it over the top. This just helps get a golden, crunchy crust. Just get in there with your fingers and spread it around, because you want it on everything, because if you don't, then there'll be some dry pieces that just won't taste as good. So get that all spread as best you can. We're going to add some parsley to the top. We're doing this not only for garnish, but also to add some flavoring, because as you can tell, there are no spices in this. This is the blandest thing ever. It's just cooked vegetables in a crust. It is finally time for the oven. You're going to put it in a 400-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Could be a little bit longer, could be a little bit shorter, depending on how big your pie is. You should occasionally check it just to see, and you might want to add a little bit more butter too if it starts to dry out. Once your crust is about golden brown, pull her out of the oven and it's ready to serve. Probably want to let it sit for 10-15 minutes just so it cools down. For the sake of this video, we are not doing that. We're just going to dive right in. The Woolton Pie was developed in Britain, so their pies are a little bit different. There's no crust on the bottom, so it's going to be kind of interesting to get out. I don't think a spatula is the right way to go. You're probably going to want to use a spoon, but it's what was within arm's reach. So let's get it out. Yeah, as I expected, it didn't really come out that well. Purely because there's no crust on the bottom, there's nothing holding the vegetables together. There's no sauce or anything like that. But this was a wartime food. They really didn't have that many ingredients laying around, and you didn't make this because you wanted to make it, you made it because you had to in order to get by. It was always served with a vegetable or beef gravy. For this sake, I just used canned gravy because I wasn't going to go through the effort to make gravy for something that's probably not going to taste that great, given there's absolutely no spices or anything, and it's basically just cooked vegetables with some bread. Alright, so there you have it, the Woolton Pie. Don't forget to add your Corona. You gotta pop a cold one and keep life a little extra during these harder times. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share. As I'm sure you could tell, this was my first video, so please let me know how I did in the comment section below, and let me know if there's anything you guys want me to make as well. Thanks for watching and stay safe.